to, I'm going to buy this house and rent it to Joe Blow, and I'm going to make X amount of dollars every month, yay, and it's going to appreciate, and I'm going to gain money there. And you have a responsibility, community you bought that house in. Have you thought about that? What are the standards there? Are you going to be able to keep up with it? Do you know what the HOA? Are you going to put tenants in there that you have vetted well and that you know are going to take care of the property, so that you're not dragging down the values in the neighborhood?
Well, what about also making sure you sell the place or for the right price? And so a lot of people drop down the prices just so they can get rid of places too.
Well, why do you think they want to get rid of them? What do you think is their motivation in dropping that price?
Well, they need the money, and so they're ready to do anything to. This was especially true a few years ago, you know.
Then they didn't have an option. That was a slightly different thing, but I understand. Most of those people didn't. But I put that question out, and it was kind of a trick question. I apologize for that. But what I was saying is that if you don't take care of the property in the first place, and then the tenant leaves, and you have a devalued asset, and it's no longer going to pull the same rent that it pulled because you've run it down, or now you have to make repairs. So what do? You run away. You drop the price, you sell it for less, and you hope the next investor will do something that you don't want to do and took no responsibility. And so I think what's different about my show, everybody, wants to, this is an exciting industry, and we do get caught up in it. All of us do. We get passionate about it. But I think one of the things that makes me a little different is I say things sometimes that offend my audience. And at the same time, they often
this is from yours. So you got to offend here. This is from New York. Well, what do you feel you need to advocate for? How do you offend? How can you offend?
Well, because I say things like that, because I'm willing to say, you didn't take care of it, you let it depreciate, now you want to unload it, and now you never thought about how that affects the other values in the property and in that neighborhood. You never thought about that.
Yeah.
Now, you can't put blame on people that have been affected by a housing downturn and their home, they were upside down all of a sudden out of things that they had nothing to do with in an industry that let them down on the banking end of it, because why were these people being allowed to buy these homes? If you could pass the mirror test, you could sign on the dotted line and put some kind of fog on the mirror, you could get a loan. And that was a dangerous way to be selling real estate, because it was air. It was
like a predatory loan.
Yeah, exactly. So that we don't want to fault those people that had to leave. They were forced to take a loss, and I knew educated people making six figures that chose to walk away during the downturn because they were so upside down. They had no faith they could ever get out, or they lost a job, which did happen to a lot of people during that downturn. And it was like, I'm buried. There's no way. And the mortgage companies didn't respond quickly enough. The government didn't respond or couldn't respond for whatever reasons quickly enough to help people recover from that. So that damaged us, and we all felt it. And Sarasota, most of the country has recovered. Sarasota has not quite fully recovered. Florida as a whole has not quite fully recovered to the place that other parts of the country has. And I think that's partly because we have a lot of second home owners here. We have a lot of snowbirds that buy here.
Well, you have a lot of people.
The market.
You have a lot of people coming here. I had a couple of investors back, in June here on my show, and they said everybody's coming down here, and everybody is. All the baby boomers are flying into Florida and, setting up second homes. So it would seem to me if Florida would really keep its value maybe more than other places, but you don't think that?
Say that again. No, it's not that. It's not a matter of thinking. No, I think Florida has not come back because we have an investor market and a larger investor market than a lot, say, let me pick a place,
So,
I'm trying to
yes.
think of something in the middle of Tennessee where home values have come back because it's just a
Oh,
regular residential
Nashville.
area.
Nashville, for example?
Nashville would be good, although the bigger cities tend to have a little more investment juice behind them because they are bigger and cities attract more buyers. But I do think that the average typical home residential neighborhood in most of the country has come back to where pre-housing crisis numbers were, and is sitting well. But homes in Sarasota, even the home that I bought, the person who owned this home before me paid $460,000 for it. I bought it for substantially less than that, and it's still not quite back to that value. That's what I'm talking about, is that spread in there, where if that happened in Johnson, Tennessee, that home probably would have caught up to where it was before and maybe even exceeded it, because that tends to be more of a just strictly residential area. And Sarasota has a lot of investors.
Sure. Well, what are the, I'm going to go ahead. We only got 5 minutes left. Are we talking about flipping houses or being a landlord in the general scheme of things?
I'm glad you brought that up. One of the things the show will do is talk about all the different ways that you can become an investor, right from being the first-time home buyer. It's an investment, and it's probably the biggest one most people make. Flipping houses is one way to make money. Wholesaling is another way to make money. Buying and renting is another way to make money. There are many ways to build an investment portfolio. There's no one way. So when you need to talk about them individually, and you need to investigate them individually, and every investor needs to have his plan A and his plan B and his plan C going in, and then you need to have an exit plan, and that exit plan needs to have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C. So you don't get sideswiped.
Okay. All right. Well, what are the real advantages of using a seasoned investor-friendly real estate agent? And are we talking about a person who is just starting to invest in real estate or a seasoned investor?
I think that an investor doesn't need a real estate agent in the beginning. I mean, once a seasoned investor, doesn't need one. A seasoned investor knows his way around his product. A novice investor, someone starting out, needs to form a relationship with a true professional investor-friendly realtor to help avoid the pitfalls, because we know what the market values are. And the truth is, most seasoned investors do not use real estate agents to find the product. They use the real estate agent to sell the product if they want to sell it. Or maybe they even use it for management because they don't want to do the management themselves. If you have 50 properties, you may not want to manage 50 properties.
Oh, sure.
And if you have a good, healthy cash flow, you don't need to.
Yeah,
someone
that's
else
true.
can.
So you're saying that the seasoned investor will sell the product using somebody, but won't buy it.
Usually doesn't need to, because the methods of finding real estate for a seasoned investor are far different than what I would do, or most real estate agents would do for a person who just wants to buy their first home.
Sure.
So, but if it's the first time you're buying one, what you want to do is make nice with a really investor-friendly real estate agent, because you can run the questions by her, you can get the statistics from her or him or whomever, and they can share knowledge with you that allows you to understand all the things that are influencing the value, all the due diligence that you'd want to do before you made the purchase. MLS is the last place to look for an
That's
investment.
Multiple listing
Listing
services?
service. It's the last place to look for
Okay.
a great investment property.
Okay, well, Maggie, unfortunately, we only have about a minute left today. What would you like the listener to take away from our discussion today?
Okay, I think the first thing I think that I would say this: there are a lot of sharks in the water of real estate investing, and that's for both Mr. and Mrs. Homebuyer and the investor. So ask yourself, would you go swimming at night in waters known to have sharks? No, you know. Would you go to buy a for sale by owner home? First of all, do you really believe the seller's asking less for the house than it's worth so you can save money? Think these things through. Just use real estate people for what they're best suited to do, and that is to let you know what they know. We share what we know.
Sure.
And if you had a $200,000 Lamborghini, would you stick a for sale sign on it in the front yard and put it on Craigslist?
Yeah, I guess.
Intelligent about your money.
Yeah, you're right. We only have about 15 seconds left. Thank you for your participation, Maggie Rose March. We've been talking with Maggie Rose March of Real Estate Hotwired of Sarasota. For more information about Real Estate Hotwired of Sarasota, visit their website at maggierosemarch.com. Thank you, Maggie Rose March. So I'd like to thank our guests for being on Curmudgeonly Yours today. And please, if you like what you heard, send me an email to richard@richardmont.com. And if you didn't, please keep your comments to yourself. Remember, this is Richard Mont and Curmudgeonly Yours on Society Bites Radio, where everything is what it seems, nothing is what it seems, and what is not said is often of most interest.